because social selling, well, what do I mean by social selling? That's probably what Ozana's going to ask me next. So I'm going to explain that a little bit. So social selling is basically selling via social media. But the interesting part is that what you shouldn't be doing is just selling. What do I mean by that? Well, you see, what you need to do is you need to start to engage and give lots of value. And in fact, this whole business marathon is pretty much like that, if you agree with me. You know, over 3 days, you are getting immense value. But are all of us selling a product or service? Yes, we are. But at the moment, what we want to do is we just, you know, whether it's for positioning for somebody, whether it's just because they want to give, whether it's because they've got some new content they want to share, it doesn't matter what reasons we've all come on this business marathon. Ultimately, it's because we want to engage and share our message with you, and we want to give value. And that's really interesting because I, you know, that's something that I love doing. You know, I've always been that kind of person where people say to me, oh, can you help me with this? And I'm like, yes. Yeah, I've got to get used to saying the word no at times. But social selling, when you're selling across social media, it is very much around getting your message across, giving lots of value and allowing them to see that you are the expert. And I know, I think it was Mike who talked about the word expert being used, but it's about being the expert in your particular industry, the go-to guru, if that's another word, but the person that they trust, know, and like Zig Ziglar said. You know, that's what you've got to come across, rather than just ask. But we'll talk a little bit more about that a bit later on. So social selling is something that you have to get used to. Now, a question that often comes up in people's heads is, do you like to be, well, they don't like selling. Like, I don't like to sell, because they feel that it's maybe too forceful or that it's too pushy. But the truth is that if you come from an authentic place, and I think Ozana said this when she was taking some questions, she was talking about how we are here to serve others. So when you're here to serve others, you have to be able to sell yourself and position yourself so that you are the person that they want to learn from or go to. And that's the same with LinkedIn. You've got to use LinkedIn as a platform where you give lots of value, you engage, you make connections, and you make the right connections. And I'll be teaching you a little bit more about that later on as well. So you make the right connections in order to be able to then offer the service and serve others, because then they will pay for it. And that's how you can make money off LinkedIn. Okay. So social selling is something you have to get comfortable with, because here's what I believe selling is, and I don't know who it was on the chat room, but they literally said it's we want to serve. That's what selling is. It's serving, and it is influencing, persuading, and convincing people that you are the right solution for their particular challenge. So you need to get comfortable with that, because if you don't, then your business, even if you're on LinkedIn, even if you're on Facebook, it won't get the traction that you need. So it's important that you grasp the topic of social selling in order to be able to do all the right things on LinkedIn. So let's look at some stats really around social selling. So one of the first stats is 69% of respondents think that the buying process is changing faster than sales organizations are responding. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, like you said, well, I believe that as individuals, as human beings, we love to buy things. And when we love to buy things, we are in a state of buying. But the buying process is changing faster, which means that we're either making decisions quicker, or because we are a buyer's market now, where we know what we want, we go and do our research on it. And funnily enough, we'll research on it online. Which means that we'll trust peer recommendations, we'll trust endorsements, we'll trust testimonials. So if your LinkedIn profile has testimonials on there, then, and I go on and read that, and I'm looking for a specific type of person. So if I'm looking for a marketeer, and your LinkedIn profile is being has got endorsements on there from other people about how brilliant of a marketeer you are, I'm more likely to get in touch with you. But the other thing about this is, and I was listening to Lilia's presentation earlier on, and we were talking about how, you see, 10-15 years ago, you had to touch base with your ideal client. You had to touch base with them about 6 to 8 times. Okay, 6 to 8 times before they either picked up your call, had a coffee with you, met with you, and you had that first point of real face-to-face contact. Well, today, that average has now gone up to between 15 and 18. So you have to have 15 to 18 touch points, if that makes sense, in order for somebody to, before somebody will actually pay you any attention. Why? Well, there's lots of, competition. There's also people in your space. So how do you differentiate from others? How do you become at the forefront? And that's why sales organizations are, they're needing to respond faster, because people's buying process is a lot faster. If they don't respond quick enough, then they're going to go elsewhere. Next stat: 71% of people believe being a salesperson will be radically different in 5 years' time. So a question, and again, Azana will help me out here. So a question for you: who currently, raise your hand if you currently have a salesperson in your business, or that you put yourself sell. So either one.
1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9. So the number is going up. The 12, okay. 11, 14, 20.
Okay, wow. All right. So the next bit is, and I just want to have your comments in the box whilst I continue with the presentation. It'd be interesting to find out, what do you believe? Do you believe that being a salesperson, how do you believe a salesperson will be radically different in 5 years' time? Because I know if I look 5 years back, I was a very different salesperson to the person that I am today. And what I mean by that is 5 years back or 10 years back, it wasn't just about, yes, it was about building, it was still about building rapport and building engagement, etc. But there was a lot more of a go for it and ask for it attitude. Whereas now it's very much about making sure that people are trusted. Like, I would be the person that would be teaching them the best way forward, as opposed to them already coming to me knowing a lot about my industry beforehand. But I'd be interested to see what comments are coming up about what people think.
We've got some comments already, Dee. So you've got Matthew, charismatic trust builder, totally agree. Leah, more online sales. Irene, trust, service, value. David, people will be buying online more and not so much face-to-face interaction. Aslan, lost it, got it back. Okay.
So a couple of things that came up a lot there is trust, value, and online. So it's interesting, isn't it? Because more people will be going online to buy their products or services, or will be trusting that more than they have face-to-face. But that doesn't mean, as individuals, we don't have the same connection, or we can't have the same connection online. And that's what we're going to be learning about, how you can get that, how you can build that trust, give value, and still be able to nurture people online to become your prospects.
I just wanted to read one, you've got a few more comments, like software rather than person, educating and showing benefits is today, and think in future more online presence, software rather than in person. But there is one comment that I want to read in particular.
Yeah.
Difference in techniques, building trust online could be more difficult. So I think both you and I are challenging these comments, because you go from your angle, and I want to ask you guys, did you, let me ask you this question. Can you put your hand up only if you knew about Ozana before this Business Success Marathon? Let's see who knew about one person, Ozana, before the Business Success Marathon. And I've got 5, 6, 7 or 8 hands up. Okay, now I'll put your hands down. Who can you put your hand up now? No, keep your hands down. Okay, so now can I ask you, would you trust that Ozana can help you grow your business? Can you put your hand up if you trust that I could help you grow your business? Let's see if I've done a good job so far. Now, I've got like 20 something, 25, 26 hands up. So see, guys, going from you not even knowing who this person was just yesterday,
Yeah.
Now you trust that I can help your business, and I haven't even had my presentation yet. So that is just one way of showing to you that online can definitely, absolutely build trust, even though you've never met this person. And there are people from all over the country, or all over the globe here, actually, probably some countries that I've never been to, for example, Malaysia. And there is very likely that I get business from those countries, even though I've never met with those people or anybody in that country, just because of my online presence. And Dee is going to show you how you are going to use LinkedIn to build your presence. And in my talk, I'm going to show you what else you can do, and how this business marathon can fit, or something like this. It doesn't have to be as big scale as this marathon. Part of your strategy to use online and the internet to build trust and respect, and also make sales. So just wanted to point this out, because I think more people are thinking like, oh yeah, online, because if you don't meet those people, you cannot make a sale, or you cannot build a relationship, which is now changing a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, I believe it's in Daniel Priestley's book that he says you need to be seen or visible, I think something like 7 hours a week. Now that can be through video, it can be through, you know, different techniques online, and people will start to trust, like, and know you. So yeah, absolutely. And, you know, often that's you know, the world is smaller now. You know, again, in that video, it said word of mouth is now word of mouth. It is a new word of mouth, because the world is smaller. So, you know, there are so many things that we can do online that builds trust, as long as you are coming from a place of authenticity, and that's the key, and of service, and you want to help people, then there's no reason why you can't be trusted online, and you can build that. And I'm going to show you techniques on how to do that for sure. But yeah, definitely go against that little thing. But it is interesting that a lot of the words that came up that you guys gave us were value, trust, online, education. And that's the key thing. It's all about giving value. And then the other stat was 93% have had no training in social media, which is quite an interesting statistic, considering the amount of people from the millennial stage, really. But you have to also understand that a lot of people haven't had any formal training. However, they've taken to it like duck to a water. And that's a key thing, that you'll see that a lot of people, you know, who have been savvy right from when the internet and social media really became a massive, big, a popular way of doing business, how those people basically took to it very well. But 53% want help doing so. So there is, like, you know, more than 50% of people who actually realize that there is value in this.